Welcome to the Monday, April 13th council meeting. I welcome everyone. Um, Roll call, Mr. Arbizo and the mayor are not present, they're excused. Therefore, I, the vice mayor, will have the gavel tonight. And I'm not usually loud with it, but you need to bear with me if I'm clumsy running the meeting, but I'm not often used to it. Tonight, I'd like to especially welcome the Stafford Student Council of the 5th and 6th grade. Thank you for being here. I've looked forward to you guys coming, and this is Dorothy Stinson. All right, Mo straightened me out. You can tell him already. I need to say that again, or was I good? Okay, so welcome, uh, Student Council. I will be saying the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Councilwoman Bratner. Would you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. As we gather here today in service to our community, let us take a moment to reflect on the values that unite us: respect, wisdom, and a shared commitment to the well being of our city. May we approach our discussions with open minds, seek understanding in our differences, and work together with integrity and purpose. May our decisions be guided by fairness and compassion, and may we always strive to serve with humility and dedication. With gratitude for this opportunity to lead and support one another, we begin today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I ask you, if you have your phones, can you silence them so they won't ring during the meeting? You need to take a call. You're welcome to step out and take your call. We'll move to item 5, citizen comments on agenda items.
Vice Mayor, we do not have any comments on agenda items.
Item 6, citizen comments on non-agenda items.
Vice Mayor, we have one comment from Vance Bryce.
Hello, Vice Mayor, Council. Vance Bryce with the Graham County Chamber of Commerce. We're located at 1051 West Thatcher Boulevard in Safford. Excuse me, I just wanted to come today and invite you personally to come to Safford Spring Festival powered by Sun Pumps. It is on Friday, April 24th from 5 to 10 p.m. and Saturday, April 25th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We also have a mixer on Thursday night of next week. That's April 23rd at the venue on Main, and you're all welcome to come to that. The other thing I wanted to tell you is how valuable your team is. We work really hard on these events to raise money for them, to get them organized. And the other side of that is the city staff that's working tirelessly right alongside of us, especially your special events liaison, Mick Ruiz, just constantly in the details, making maps for us, helping us get prepared. He's an incredible asset, and so is the rest of your team. So please pass along those thanks from us to your team. And we hope to see you there. You're gonna hear from me in some phone calls to ask for some speeches and some recordings and different things to participate. So be prepared for me to be on your phone, on your caller ID. Thank you so much. Hope to see you there.
We will move to item 8, executive sessions, and I would like to bring to the council that we move this item to after the finance report because there's nothing really we need to hold the public for. We don't have anything to vote on or decide on to come out. So I would like to move it towards the end if everyone's fine with that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So then we will move to item 10, the public hearing public hearing regarding use of Community Development Block Grant, CDBG funds. You're going to introduce?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to introduce William Osborne, who is here with SEGO, the Southeastern Council of Governments, who will be explaining how the CDBG program works. This year, we'll receive approximately $291,000 in FY26 federal community development block grants. Mr. Osborne's presentation will give a discussion of national objectives and types of activities that can be funded, discussion and citizen input regarding community needs in the community, and discussion and citizen input regarding possible projects to be funded with CDBG, and a review of past performance of our funded CDBG programs. And with that, I will open it up for him and I will share his presentation. We also have Mr. Lance Henry here in the audience. So if it comes down to technical questions, he'll be available for those as well. Let me get this pulled up for him. All right, Mr. Osborne, if you'll come up to the podium, please. You'll be able to scroll.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, members of council, Mr. Mayor, and all who are gathered here. The initial public hearing, that's what we're at here for CDBG. We're in the information and also collecting of project ideas with you here tonight. Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, it's about helping communities with housing, infrastructure, the living environment, and economic opportunities. We're allocating limited tax dollars, or at least there's an allocation of limited tax dollars to community and economic development needs through the programs that are either divided regionally or competed for statewide. CDBG has national criteria for funding eligibility, and those are tied to the project ideas that you may come up with tonight. And also, we will discuss the past City of Safford CDBG projects. But the main idea at the end of the evening is that we have your ideas for potential projects that the mayor and council can consider at the next CDBG public hearing for an adoption of resolution. CDBG funding, where does it come from? It comes from your tax dollars that go to the federal government, of which about 10 million, a little over 10 million a year, comes to the Arizona Department of Housing as CDBG. CDBG funding, there's part of it that is spent towards the Arizona Department of Housing for its operations, for its technical assistance that it provides. But there's also other amounts of money that are split out statewide and also some to smaller areas of our regional governments. About $1 million is set aside for what are called colonias, and those communities are defined. We'll have a bit of more information about what those mean. And also state special project allocation funds, about 15% of the annual budget goes towards those. And that will also be discussed in a little more detail. And then the regional account, of which communities don't have to compete. That will also be discussed, and that's about $7.5 million. So that's where most of the money goes statewide. Councils of Government in Arizona and regional account CDBG, there are, I believe, there's actually five councils of government, also called COGS, that are allocated funds that are split out based on their population and the level of poverty in those counties. Those counties generally are rural counties, so overall they have less population than the counties in which Phoenix and Tucson are located. COGS do review the applications for ADOH, so even if SEGO, in our case, wasn't to be working with the City of Safford, if Safford had an application in for CDBG, SEGO would still be reviewing it as an assistance to the Arizona Department of Housing. We, however, do provide technical assistance and guidance on CDBG for our local communities. We also help to prepare applications. We communicate and advocate for members of our communities with ADOH. When it comes to keeping project funding, we find ways of helping our local communities keep their funding for their projects. And through our executive board, of which your vice mayor is a member, councils of government like ours adopt a method of distribution every 3 years that helps to allocate funds within each of our 4 counties on a rotating basis. And so each jurisdiction has the maximum impact in getting funding that actually will help a project work by having it in a rotation. The councils of government in Arizona include the Western Association Councils of Government, which would be the area of like Yuma. There's the Central Arizona Government's COG, and that is like reflective of around Pima County. And NACOG is Northern Arizona. That's around Flagstaff, Winslow, and Prescott, and those areas up there. And then there's SEGO, the 4 southeastern counties of the state. And you can see about the funding amount that is split out from the $7.5 million for regional account each year. And so we get about $1.34 million on an annual basis to divide among 4 communities that we serve, 1 in each of our counties. The types of CDBG that are available to Safford include the regional account. And that's primarily a non-competitive thing. We'll go into a little more detail in a moment. There's also state special projects. That is competitive, as is Colonius. Colonius is what we'll talk about a little bit first here, though we have Colonius are designated using objective criteria, including a lack of potable water supply, a lack of adequate sewage systems, and a lack of decent, safe, and sanitary housing. And these areas had to have existed prior to November 28th of 1990. Even if they haven't been designated yet, there may be some areas that could be designated, and there is a process for that. It's not necessarily part of this process, but for those areas of Graham County, for instance, that are designated, they are able to compete for Colonius funding where other communities are not. Colonius are awarded in every 2 years, every even year. And so this year is a Colonius cycle. It is a competitive grant, but it's only with other qualifying Colonius communities in Arizona.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
excuse me. When I was studying this, on the right-hand side, it's shaved off and not quite showing. Is there any other colonias in our area, in Graham County?
The map here actually shows Arizona State, and those large clusters to the right side is actually in New Mexico. And so I'm not sure if I have a pointer that I could use, and if I do, it's probably a danger to the presentation.
I just
But if I
asking
could, it's that to the furthest east of us, it's going to be Clifton and Duncan. Those are the 2 easternmost colonias in Arizona. But as I'll get to it, we actually have in our service area the out of 68 qualifying colonias in Arizona, our region has 37 of them. So we have well over half of the colonias in Arizona in our 4 counties. Cochise County has the most with 15. Graham County has 10. Santa Cruz County also has 10, and Greenlee County has 2, which is the entires of Duncan and Clifton. For Colonius communities, the projects that are suggested for them must be shovel-ready. The designs should be 100% complete for any facilities or infrastructure improvements. They are projects that require income qualification or a waiting list for housing rehab, if housing rehab is something that's selected. And that's owner-occupied housing rehab. There also is leverage and match funding, or there's a leverage and match requirement, or not requirement, but suggested to raise the score in competition with other colonias. And the environmental review must be completed ahead of time. And we at SEGO provide assistance in getting that done. The colonias communities that are in Graham and Greenlee, you can see the list there. There's the 10 in Graham County, includes the town of Pima, but also several unincorporated areas, which may be closely proximate to the city of Safford or possibly in a potential annexation area to Safford. Again, that doesn't mean that there may not be areas in Safford that would qualify. It's just a matter of documenting how those areas would qualify as colonias. Again, they're areas that had to have been built out prior to 1990. State special projects is another competitive source of funding, and the annual notice of funding availability is usually released in the spring. Grants of up to $750,000 may be available, but you are competing with all non-entitlement Arizona communities, all rural communities throughout Arizona, all around the state. ADOH does rank the applications with scoring criteria. They do look to have shovel-ready projects with the engineering, design, and planning already handled, or possibly that a state special project request may actually be for the planning, design, and engineering ahead of a larger project for improvement of infrastructure. They're also, as part of the 15%, or actually on top of the 15% that the state sets aside for state special projects funding, also includes lost funding from other past awarded CDBG projects where those projects have gone dormant. Contractors fall out, or the town or the city or the county in question says, hey, we can't complete this project. ADOH will take that funding back and put it into the state special projects pot. Regional account, and this is particularly important. This is the city of Safford's turn in the cycle of method of distribution. This is non-competitive funding. And again, the amount is close to $291,000. And the method of distribution will depend on the number of communities that are participating. And I believe we have 4 in Graham County with Pima, Thatcher, Safford, and the county itself. And we again have about 1.34 million for each year in the next 3 years to 2027, at which time ADOH will likely release a new figure. And we may have a discussion about adopting a new method of distribution. Projects may include infrastructure, community facilities and parks, public and community facilities or services, planning, design, and engineering for future projects, and or concurrently with a project that's being proposed. Could be used for for slum or blight reduction, but those types of projects usually are tied in with some other improvement, where the slum and blight reduction is part of a larger project. It's like a first step in moving towards actually an improvement. And also housing development and rehabilitation are other potential projects for regional account. And here's the amount this year for each of the communities that are, actually for each of the counties. You see here that Graham County has about 291,000. Greenlee County is at 100,000. Cochise is just over 515,000. And Santa Cruz County is about 440,000. Distributions this year in 2026 include the city of Safford, town of Clifton, Huachuca City, and Nogales. The national objectives that are applied for any project, whether it would qualify or not, is that the project must primarily benefit low and moderate income persons and households. 51% of the service area beneficiaries would have an income less 80% or less of the median income for households of the same size in the area, whether it's the community's boundaries or whether it's a block group within the community. The other measure that could be a placeholder for that low moderate income is that there's a special needs group in the community that are automatically considered low moderate income. This includes seniors, disabled, domestic violence victims. There are others who have social services needs that are not normally available through the market. And CDBG may be used towards improvements for those folks, facilities or services. Project must prevent or eliminate slum or blight conditions. If that's going to be something that's pursued, it would have to have an area-wide measure where 25% or more of the properties in an area are deteriorated or abandoned. Spot rehabilitation may be something that is considered for slum and blight reduction, but it's also usually associated with an immediate public safety issue. Like, let's say if a public swimming pool were to collapse somehow, that would be a public safety issue that might be something that could qualify for slum and blight to handle the demolition of that. A project must otherwise meet urgent needs or may meet urgent needs related to the health and safety issues. That would be especially important if, let's say, a wastewater lift station were to fail and needed to be replaced. That's another reason to actually have that project qualify for CDBG regardless of income levels. And more specifically in describing these eligible project categories and types is that street improvements, roads, sidewalks, ADA improvements to remove barriers of accessibility are considered as part of public and community facilities. So too are water and sewer system improvements, whether it's lines or stations, parks improvements, and also community services facilities. Housing, also another category, housing rehabilitation. What we typically see is owner-occupied housing rehab. New construction by an eligible organization, a nonprofit developer, is something that also may qualify. Activities that support new housing construction, such as land acquisition, clearance, and street improvements. But remember that these things, these areas would have to be low, moderate income qualified, as would homeownership assistance, such as down payment assistance, that would be on a household basis. And so those would be folks actually coming forward to apply most directly. And usually with housing rehabilitation, it's the same. The owner occupant has to actually apply for the help if that program is something that's adopted as a project. Public services may be one of the project categories, including childcare, job and vocational training, healthcare and substance abuse services, and crime prevention. Typically, these services are not already available in the community. That's one qualifier. So if there are other facilities or other services that are provided, these ones usually aren't going to be found, but where the services don't exist, these are some things that could actually qualify for CDBG. The planning and design and engineering may be applied for comprehensive or general plans, could even be for updates of those, area-specific plans or strategic plans, engineering and design plans for CDBG qualifying infrastructure projects. Again, it's kind of looking ahead. If there's an idea that there's a need for, let's say, in a transportation improvement program that would include ADA improvements or ADA accessibility improvements, things that would improve the water and sewer system in the city or in certain parts, is that the engineering and design for those could also be put towards CDBG, or CDBG funds could be put towards those activities. As well, architectural and engineering plans for qualified building projects. For community, for public and community facilities, what we had in Safford is sidewalk and ADA improvements in the Leif Nelson neighborhood. And that project wrapped up in 2024. It was one of the first projects that I got to work on in terms of seeing out the construction and doing interviews with laborers on that project. And prior to that, there was the Jensen Addition water and sewer system improvements. And with that, the question is what projects would you like to see in Safford? And that's really for everybody in this room. Don't want to discount the folks who are sitting at the dais because they're also part of this community, and everybody here, staff and citizens alike, and even the kids. If there are project ideas that you have to improve your communities, this is your chance. This is your time. Because if we don't have a list of projects, or a project is not on the list that gets published before the next public hearing, then those ideas can't be considered. So it's really important that you put your creativity to use as well as your hearts towards service in the community and towards what's better for the community, is also to have your own ideas or ideas that you've shared about what kind of projects might benefit Safford. So this time I'd be happy to either ask questions or answer questions, or just say open it up to the public to testify on the project ideas.
There has, our last census, since Safford went over 10,000, does that give us any advantage on making requests? Like we've had to have low-income areas to get some projects. Does that help us now to blanket some of it?
The size of the population at this point is not necessarily a factor that would influence anything on in terms of helping getting additional funding necessarily, not for CDBG. As ADOH administers CDBG, they go based on population statistics that are in what's called the American Community Survey. And that's usually every year between census years, they collect information. But the councils of government with ADOH's, through their approval, is that we are held to using a 5-year window for 1 year's data. And I'll try to explain that, is that we had until June of 2024, we had been using for the previous 5 years data from 2011 to 2015. So that data gave a picture that was probably less prosperous than the current time between 2019 and 2024. But after June 2024, we've been using data from 2016 to 2020. What that data shows us is that those two 5-year periods, 2011 to 2015 and 2016 to 2020, is that there are fewer people who are low moderate income in most of our communities. And I believe Safford's included in that. But there are some areas of Safford, some block groups, where they're still qualified for low moderate income because more than 51% or more of the households in that block group qualify as having 80% or lower of the median area income. So 510 or 511 out of 1,000 households make 80% or less of what the median income is in that area. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So there are a lot of our communities actually that no longer qualify outright for low moderate income. And so what ends up happening is that a community will say, well, this is an area that really needs this kind of a project. Is there some way we could move forward? The answer is yes, but it would have to have what's called a low moderate income special survey. And you have to choose the area of benefit for that proposed project and make sure that you say, well, this project would improve the water and sewer systems on these 2 streets in town. Those 2 streets, the households that are along those 2 lengths of pipe that would be changed out and maybe the roads refinished after that's done, that all those households would have to be identified as being the project beneficiary area. And then you'd have to do a random selection among those households, however many there are, to say we have to basically go to door to find out from each of these folks of what their household income level is, if they would qualify as low moderate income. And if out of that sampling, that doing those door-to-door interviews, that you find that this data, which is held as confidential and is not released for public information, but if those households do respond and they find that over 51% of that sample, and again, it's a sample randomly selected, if more than 51% of that sample that does actually respond, and they have to be a certain number of those folks have to respond. If they don't respond, that ends up being a problem. But if they do respond and they do qualify, 51% of those households that are interviewed, then you actually have a project that qualifies under the low moderate income national criteria. But you have to document that. But again, that's held, safe and not released for public information.
Thank you, sir. Are you working the slides?
I am with my
Can you
thumb.
raise it just a little bit more on who we can contact?
There we
So
go.
there you go, there. So, because I do believe Mr. Henry and Jamie know how, this isn't their first bullfight with this. So I think they
That's
can handle it.
correct.
They
That's
have
correct.
that information.
They do, and I think that they will be instrumental in fleshing out feasibility of the ideas that come forward tonight. But we definitely want to have the most broad set of ideas possible, so that when it comes down to it, it's like, here's some projects that we have that we'd actually like to consider. If somebody comes to the next public hearing and says, well, I didn't hear this idea, I'd like us to consider this. That's a no-go. It's basically come back to this meeting and do this meeting again.
Is your presentation available on our website? So the public can go back and look at these rules and the way, because we do need the public's input on this. That's why we're having a hearing, is for your input. And you see the contacts we have up there. I'm hoping you go study on this and you look it over again and have some input for us, the whole public, because we do appreciate it.
Again, it's really important to remember that tonight, all the project ideas that people could think of, even if they're not feasible, they're not bad ideas, but they may not be feasible. It's important to get them out tonight. So that way it's like, well, now we can talk about how do we get these ideas done between now and the next hearing.
And I think you said, and the students may have picked up on it, one of the projects was sidewalks near Leif Nelson.
In the Leif Nelson
So
neighborhood.
near Leif Nelson, sidewalks were built on some of these monies. And that's why we need your input on the other projects that you may have in mind out there that we can put this towards. Because we only get it once every 3 years. And this is 291,000 possibly,
Ish. Yeah.
that we as a public body and the public involved need to have the ideas of what we're going to spend it on.
There you go. And again, you folks here, even on the dais, also your ideas too.
Yes.
Everybody.
They will too. And this don't have to do with this one, but like Seagull, for example, we have we run the elderly, one of the other boards that's under Seagull is the elderly people around here, that we provide meals at home and check them up for the older people, their cognizance and their transportation and things like that. It's a little off subject, but just to let you know, Seagull's larger than this.
Oh, yes. No, in fact, actually, it's not that off subject because senior center improvements, those two also qualify as limited clientele. Instead of having to go through low, moderate income, it could be like to help seniors. And so CDBG funding can definitely be used for that, as it is in the town of Clifton and also in the city of Bisbee. So both of those communities have senior center improvements as their projects that are ongoing right now.
So I don't want to talk past Jamie either, but I do want to encourage the public to help.
Excellent.
So thank you, Mr. Osborne. And so tonight, Mr. Henry's here for any technical questions, and we'll consider this brainstorming from the public, staff, and the council so that we can get our list combined and compiled. And then Ms. Driver will prepare the minutes, and we'll post our next public hearing. And at that moment, we'll have more of a decision-making process. Tonight is just ideas. And of course, sidewalks for the city of Safford are one of my personal favorites, and they have come up, I'll add this, they have come up as a request in the general plan public input. And the 2 low mod census tracts that the city does have some sidewalk needs. So I'll put that in for staff. Mr. Henry is here, and if you don't have any other questions, Vice Mayor, Council, we can open it up for public comment and or questions.
Vice Mayor, maybe you could remind me, and you go back a little farther as well, but have we ever considered down payment assistance?
Down payment assistance? I don't think so. I don't ever remember that, but I don't know if we don't run into a problem, because we did try to use monies one time to help the elderly, and the council wanted to restrict it to just Safford residents, but the IGA we were working with couldn't guarantee, because they were county-wide, so I don't know what effect that may
Right.
have. But you're
It'd be worth
probably
looking
talking
into.
in Safford.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I don't know, but that's a good idea, sir.
Yes, so we'll put that on the list. I'll add a little caveat. Some uses of the funds have more stringent and longer lasting reporting requirements. But definitely there's no bad idea tonight. Let's get them all on the list so that they can be discussed. So we'll do down payment assistance on the list as well.
Thank you.
I don't there any more from the council? If not, we'll put it to the public. Is that what you said, Jamie?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'd
So
just like
we-
to see something for the homeless. I mean, we're getting a larger and larger population, and I know that we have the Samaritan Home, but maybe looking at something to help the homeless with some housing, temporary shelters, maybe putting those little tiny homes, a tiny home area or something like that for our homeless population.
Is there a certain time that we have to spend it?
The application process, once it's concluded, as well with an environmental review of the application, if the application has been pre-approved by ADOH, environmental review goes through. If that is successful, then you'd have an award, a funding agreement that ADOH would send to the community. And I believe that they usually put an 18-month period on it, but it could be somewhat negotiable. But also what we have had happen is where a community has had to have, with our assistance, submit a contract amendment to actually extend the period. And so an extension of the period is something that is also allowed. Just as something that's kind of like, is progress being made? If progress is being made, but it may not be as fast as maybe ADOH or ourselves would desire, it's still something that would be on the table. And it's something that, again, is workable.
Vice Mayor and Council, if you don't mind, I'd like to at least start the ball rolling with a project that does qualify, and I wanted to share my screen just to kind of give you a better idea. Maybe. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's try this. All right, so this is the HUD map. Granted, this has the old data from the census 2015 to 2011, 2015, but from what I can gather, and Will can correct me if I'm wrong, the census tract that we have this period that qualifies for low to moderate income is this block group 4, census tract 9613, which is 8th Street, south to Relation Street, 8th Avenue over to Highway 191. So that's the block right there. In that block, well, back up a little bit. Our last CDBG project we did was mentioned Leif Nelson School area between Leif Nelson Middle School. That was in the previous low mod area that we did some sidewalks over there. One thing I've been working on in the 13 years I've been here is trying to get sidewalks in town, at least on one side of the road. Try and get access to where kids can get to school safe. That thing, I've got plenty more to do. This block that is mentioned right here and shown on the screen is in dire need of some sidewalk areas to be filled in. 3rd Avenue has a lot of spots that need to be filled in. Central Avenue has a spot of curb gutter and sidewalk that is really need to be replaced. There's other areas in there, so I'd like to, at least get on the record to have sidewalks in this block group census tract, which is a low mod qualifying area. One thing about doing sidewalk projects is we can design them and do all the design in-house, saving money there, and then stretch the funds as far as we can to get as much sidewalk, handicap ramps, curb gutter, that kind of stuff, get it as far as we can. So I did want to mention that, and if there's any other questions on any other projects that come up, I'd be more happy to talk about them.
I couldn't really make out the neighborhood real good, Mr. Henry, but would it involve any crosswalks?
If we had a spot where there's an intersection where we need to put crosswalks, what I want to do is handicap ramps where we don't have them, do the sidewalks and the handicap ramps at the intersections. If we can do a crosswalk there to control the intersection, yeah, we could do crosswalks as well.
Okay, that could fall in there too.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Jamie, I think you still have the floor if you are listening.
Uh, Yes, sir. If at this time, if there's any, are there any members of the public who would like to get their ideas on the record? It's kind of a great time to speak your mind when you actually have the entire council here and ideas. So if anybody in the public would like to come up, you'll just need to speak at the podium so that the audience and everybody online can hear you. Kids, that does include you.
Jamie, does this funding allow for upgrades to parks or maybe pocket parks or that kind of stuff? And does that have to have an income study in that neighborhood, or does it just?
Uh,
I'm curious as to how that would work to upgrade or repair an existing park.
Yes, Vice Mayor Lopez and Councilman McGoy, I will defer the perfectly technical answer to Mr. Osborne, but yes, Parks and Recreation are on there. And I believe if they benefit the entire community, it does not have to be in the low mod census tract. We'll research that for you. But yes, if there's a specific park or project that you'd like to list, put it on the list tonight because we can do our research during the time between now and our next public hearing. So get it on the list if you have a park or a set of amenities at parks.
Okay, with a little bit of detail, for CDBG, there would still be a requirement for low moderate income, depending on, again, the service area, the beneficiary area for the project. If the project is located within an area that's designated as having 51% plus low moderate income households, then that project could be a park improvement project and move forward that way. That said, there may be other funding sources to consider that this evening's meeting of, again, brainstorming, as Jamie had said, that other funding sources may come available, and this public participation could be used to support those funding opportunities. And some of the opportunities too with CDBG can also be layered with other sources of funding, whether it's foundation funding or whether it's EDA, Economic Development Authority, or USDA, Rural Development. Those kinds of funds may also be able to combine in together. And so too, I think City of Benson had a project that just finished up that they had a combination of CDBG, but also, I believe, National Parks Foundation funding. And so, again, there's opportunities for both sources of funding, and the other source of funding may not have the same restrictions that CDBG does. But there are certain activities within that CDBG would have to apply to low moderate income. If you are removing barriers, which I believe a number of communities in Graham County have done for parks, and I believe Graham County has their most recent project that's now underway through bidding for construction contractor is an ADA accessibility improvement project for the fairgrounds. And so that, regardless of whether it's low moderate income, if it's ADA accessibility related, then you've got a plus. Their previous project to that, I believe they used funding for ADA improvements to connect to a playground area that I think that time they may still have qualified as low moderate income. So they were doing two different things on the national objectives criteria. But again, it's like, think more about the projects and not necessarily about the restrictions at this point. The restrictions can come later, but if you have specific park areas or specific areas that maybe need a pocket park, those are the things to bring forward tonight, I would say.
The reason for my question was I was looking at that mile by quarter mile piece of, what do you call it?
Block group?
Block group. It doesn't have any parks in it, but it does have a school in there with which we have an agreement to share facilities. And I just thought maybe we could enhance one of them that would benefit the school and us. But I don't have a specific project in mind. I'm just looking at, there are no pocket parks or anything in that piece of.
In fact, it's great that you raised that, Councilmember McCoy. The Santa Cruz County, they were able to do two projects that are both parks improvements, and one of them actually is for a Nogales Unified School District school or former school that maybe is like a magnet school or something like that. They're doing playground improvements that are going to benefit kids in the neighborhood, but it's also something that is on school property. So yes, that is something that could be done.
I'm not sure how to be specific about what I want. If that has to be,
That's okay. I mean, so you just say park improvements at a certain elementary school or a couple of different schools, middle school, or whatever that is, that's fine to identify those.
district offices and middle school areas.
Just to expand on that, Councilman McGoy and Vice Mayor, if you remember, I had a couple cycles ago, we actually used CDBG funds to do our park improvements at First Park and Glen Meadows Park. We took out all the sand, put in ramps that made it accessible, and then put that rubberized surface down. That was CDBG funding we used to do those projects 2 cycles ago. And so we will just make sure on the record that if there's something we can do in the middle school area for a park, we'll have that on the record as a potential project. So, because that does fall in that tract in that block group that's low to moderate
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Lopez and council members. My family and I live over on Third Avenue, and while there are sidewalks at the end of the road, there is a gap right in the middle where we live, and a few of my neighbors. And so this forces us into the street just to continue walking, which doesn't feel safe, especially with 3 little kids. Filling in that gap would make a big difference in our family and others nearby. And my son would also like something. You would like sidewalks also. Thank you.
Council members and Vice Mayor, I recommend alongside the sidewalk suggestions that we seek some sort of light situation in the corner of 8th and 8th, where there's often, right after middle school, a lot of foot traffic of middle schoolers. There's a lot of children crossing. There's no indicated, morally strongly indicated crosswalks or well-marked crosswalks, as well as the fact that there's often a lot of confusion with the train tracks of whose turn it is in the 4-way stop. And it's just not a very safe, cross area in general in town. And since it's also included in that, it would be really awesome. I also have a thought along the lines of a community center or resource center along that's more indoors, so that people might have a recreational location for all ages, like something that has pool tables or a seating where you can sit and chat, and it doesn't cost money to go out and speak with people and have friends. So you don't have to go to a bar as an adult, or you have to find a park and hopefully there are other kids there. And those would be my suggestions.
Anybody else? It's not painful, I promise.
Well, Jamie, when's the next time they have another chance to talk to you with their suggestions, bring them to you, and
I would suggest by the end of this week, because we have to get these minutes with these officially tonight. So by tonight, they need to.
good gosh,
Because the minutes have to go to Mr. Osborne as soon as the clerk gets them completed, so that we can schedule our next hearing and to decide on those projects. And that has to have 16-day notice. So speak with me or Mr. Osborne tonight, or you will have to catch the next cycle, or We still have our general plan update available online so that if you have any other general comments or participation ideas, you can always contact me, 928-432-4299. I'm at the annex. Mr. Henry's contact information was listed in the presentation. So tonight's the deadline for this project. We'll have another public hearing to decide, so people are also welcome to come and help choose the project and have public input then. Then we move on to other projects. I don't want to close public input for ideas because we could always put them in other ongoing planning practices that we have. It just won't be for this funding source.
So we won't be able to amend. Is this the norm that you make a decision this night?
The decision will be made at the next public hearing. So tonight is the information gathering session, and then the decision will be made for this funding source at the next public hearing.
That's rough.
We feel for you. It's kind of one of those, it's the way that it is, not the way it should be. Our preference to move forward would be actually to have a broader pre-participation in which what ADOH needs from us per the Housing and Urban Development Department at the federal level, that we can provide that, but that we would also have more of a robust general, maybe not just us, but also something that the city could participate in creating an opportunity to talk about ideas for projects, not just for CDBG, which again, even tonight, it's like just if you have a parks idea, even if it's not low, moderate income, not really important. Really the important thing is to get all the project ideas out there. Because like not my favorite hockey player, but one of the greatest of all time, Wayne Gretzky said, you don't score on 100% of the shots that you don't take. And so it's really important for every shot that you can think of, every project idea, is to get that out there. And again, there's no bad ideas. There's really, don't have any fear about coming up and talking about the things that you'd like to see in the city of Safford, because anyone among those may be eligible for CDBG or something else. And don't even think a limitation on the regional account, the 291,000 thereabouts, that is guaranteed to the city if it files an application that qualifies, but also think about your competitive opportunities with the state special projects funding, which is significantly greater, up to 750,000. That could also be another CDBG related application that comes from tonight's participation. If those ideas aren't given though, you can't really consider them at the next public hearing for CDBG. But there's other funding sources that may be possible for the ideas that come out tonight. And just like what Jamie was saying, is even for things like the general plan, something out, that's another opportunity that may have funding opportunities identified tonight. So yes, but my preference would be actually to have a more robust, and again, this isn't something that we generally do, but it's always been hey, we have all this idea stuff going around about the things we want to see. And now here comes the CDBG presentation to talk about what we've got to do, which is to explain to you what CDBG is, what the different program CDBG funds are, and how projects can be selected. And here's the project types that are generally considered valid types. But that's the information that ADOH wants us to convey, and we do. But the creativity that really is left on your community as a whole, everybody here, to bring that forward. And it is kind of a short, like, oh, you mean we're doing all that tonight? Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is, unless we schedule something to say, hey, we're going to have a 2-step P2 process, which I don't necessarily recommend that. I think it's better to think about the ideas that folks want first, and then start talking about here's the funding sources that we could go for, where we do provide this P2 CDBG public hearing, and then have a resolution for application adopted at the next public hearing. But the ideas that are out there have already been discussed and definitely brought forward at a P2 hearing like tonight. But yes, we're calling on you to do something that has been done time immemorial. When Bonnie Williams was the CDBG person at Seago, it's always been kind of like, here it is. Here's your two opportunities.
What you have written down, Jamie? Sidewalks, there was something for the homeless, I think. Well, let's increase our list. The homeless, bike
Fact-
paths,
I would say what I in fact heard with the homeless was that there's a shelter,
shelter.
but also perhaps a tiny homes community. That's kind of what I heard. But
We heard sidewalks, and I know Mr. Henry has, he's been planning on this for years now. He, not just tonight, so he's got stuff up his sleeves already, and Jamie, I'm sure. But so now you see the dilemma we're in. Do you have any more ideas you want to give to Jamie, or by tonight, I guess midnight?
Vice Mayor, I have a question. Mr. Henry? When we're talking about that block area that you wanted to redo the sidewalk, the corner of 12th and Central, south to the next block, I know it doesn't have like the ADA ramps. We have 3 visually impaired ladies that live right in that area. Is that something that's in your plans, is to fix those? Because when I go ride my bike right there on Central, that's a big drop, and I know that they walk each other, but that's a pretty scary drop for
Well,
them.
that's why I mentioned that entire tract, basically. There's lots of areas in that that need help, and I want to focus on the areas that we find as a priority, everything in that area. So if that's a priority, we would make that part of the project. There's one, there's some handicap accessible people that live right there on Central where I was talking about the sidewalk that's just completely deteriorated and the curb's gone. That's an area I want to high priority, get that replaced. That's number one. We could do that, those ramps in that section, and just stretch it as far as we go. As long as it's in that block, that's why I mentioned that entire block. I want sidewalks, ramps, curb and gutter, if we need it in that block, would all qualify because it's low to moderate income.
Well, have you heard all you need to listen to, Jamie, so we can?
Yes, Vice Mayor and Council, Ms. Driver will record the exact wording of the minutes of what people have requested, and we'll provide that to Mr. Osborne for our next public hearing. And I welcome anybody with ideas who didn't make the deadline of tonight for CDBG to always give me a call. We never stop planning. Oh, we have one more.
My name is Carly Crockett, and we have a situation.
We have a suggestion, and that is right up from Dorothy Stinson School, there's the walking path. And on that walking path, there's one part of that walking path that is not guarded by any kind of guarding, and then it falls into the canal. And it's quite steep, and we were wondering if that could be a guarding or a guard put up there, a fence of some kind put up there. Because I do know little ones, we were talking about it the other day in our meeting, and we do know that there are little ones that go and they're learning how to ride bikes, and it could be a possibility of them falling. So I don't know the exact name of that particular portion of it, but it's just right up from Dorothy Stinson on the walking path.
Thank you for your time.
Well, Jamie, I don't believe you. Oh,
One more.
one more.
My name's Aubriana Clockinga, and I know that like my school, our playground, it's not really safe sometimes, and I know that some people have gotten hurt by just like playing because there's like unsafe places and they had to block off some places. And I was just wondering if we could like fix it a little bit. Bruce Powell.
Uh, Good job, ladies.
I will close the meeting, and if you're at that stage.
Yes.
Didn't work. Okay, I will be closed the public hearing and reconvene into regular meeting. We'll go to agenda item 12, which is Mr. Lowe, the utility awards for electric.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council. The American Public Works Association Safety Award of Excellence recognizes utilities with low incident rates and the overall state of their safety program and cultural each year. In 2025, 240 utilities were recognized for safety operation practices. Utilities can earn diamond, platinum, or gold designations in each group based on their total worker hours of exposure. Our electric division team includes Michael Cook, division manager, Rodney Barragon, journey lineman, Danny Cunnin, electrician, James Foxworthy, electrician, Trinity Grindos, lineman, Dallas McGinnis, journey lineman, Josh Nichols, lead journey lineman, Wyatt Smith, apprentice, and Logan Smith, apprentice. The team obtained 0 injuries during the 2025 calendar year and earned the highest safety award from this organization, so we wanted to recognize them tonight. And I don't know if you've seen those linemen up there working, but it's pretty impressive what they achieve. I think a few of the guys are back there, so we were hoping we could get a picture of them with the council.
Vice Mayor, if the council could come off the dais for a quick picture. Most of the team is here this evening. You look a little different in regular clothes.
Now we will move to 12.2, open meeting law presentation. That's the clerk.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. Tonight I'll just be doing a quick overview over the open meeting law presentation. All right, so to begin, what is the purpose of the open meeting law? It is the public policy of the state that meetings of the public bodies be conducted openly and that the notices and agendas for those meetings contain as much such information as is reasonably to inform the public of the matters that to be discussed. So what is a public body? By definition from State Statute 38-431, it's all boards and commissions of political subdivisions, all multi-member governing bodies of departments, agencies, institutions, and instrumentalities of the public subdivisions, including without limitation all corporations and other instrumentalities whose boards of directors are appointed or elected by the state or political subdivision, including standing, special, or advisory committees or subcommittees, or appointed by such public body. So an advisory committee is a committee that is officially established upon the motion and order of a public body or by the presiding officer of the public body, and whose members have been appointed for the specific purpose of making a recommendation concerning a decision to be made or considered, or a course of conduct to be taken or considered by the public body. Some exceptions to our open meeting law is the staff meetings, staff-appointed committees that advise the staff, not necessarily the public body, and any single department head meetings. So why do you need to follow the open meeting law? Well, as a public official, you have the responsibility to abide by the law. This gives the public the right to attend and listen to how public business is being conducted, avoids decisions being made by behind closed doors, promotes accountability by encouraging responsive and responsible actions, as well as maintains integrity and builds trust between you and the people you were elected and appointed to represent. So what is the definition of a meeting? It is the gathering in person or through technological devices of a quorum of the members of the public body at which they discuss, propose, or take legal action, including any deliberations by a quorum with respect to that action. This includes a one-way electronic communication by one member of the public body that is sent to a quorum of the members of the public body and that proposes a legal action. An exchange of electronic communications among a quorum of the members of the public body that involves a discussion, deliberation, or taking legal action by the public body concerning a matter likely to come before the public body for action. So you can attend by phone. If there is a problem reaching a quorum, participation by phone is okay. However, the public must be able to hear the person on the phone or the electronic media. The person on the phone or the electronic media must be able to hear everyone at the meeting. And the participation on the phone or electronic media must be noted on the agenda. A quorum. So what is a quorum? A quorum is a majority of the full membership of the public body, unless otherwise noted in state statute or governing documents. Is the minimum number of members of the public body required to conduct business. So for the City of Safford Council, it's a minimum of 4 members, since there's a total of 7. How is a quorum affected by disqualifications due to conflict of interest? A disqualified member present at the meeting may not be counted for a quorum purposes to discuss or decide the particular matter for which the member is disqualified. For example, a 5-member board has 3 members present, but 1 member has declared a conflict. The board cannot proceed on that matter until another member attends. So here, for instance, if we didn't have a full quorum, or we did have a quorum, but one of those was a conflict of interest, we couldn't proceed with any of the items. So quorums at social events. The council is pretty aware of that we at the clerk's office post these quorum notices. And this is for any type of social event, which is a function or an outing at a given place or time. It typically involves some type of entertainment. If more than a quorum will be present at the social event, a quorum notice may be posted. The quorum notice will announce the event, the quorum may be present, and a statement that no business of the public body will be discussed and that no action will be taken. I did add there that a quorum notice is actually not required. So we do it as a courtesy to the public and also to state that there will be no discussion of council business, city business, but it's actually not required. Social media. So any social media considerations is if a complaint is filed alleging that you use social media to circumvent the open meeting law, the Attorney General must determine if you were in a meeting. Was it a gathering? Social media platforms are electronic communications. Was there a gathering of the quorum on social media? Are a quorum of members your friends or followers? Has the public received notice? Were you discussing the legal action? Are you posing opinions and ideas about various issues? Did other members comment on your post? Did you exchange comments with them? There really is no clear guidance, but just be cautious with your communications on social media. Some of the best practices for social media is don't friend or follow other members of the public body, or be selective about which pages to follow, either personal or professional. If you choose to friend or follow other members, do not post about any business within the scope of the public body. Don't comment on their post or friends of friends post or of other members if the matter relates to city business of the public body. And don't create message groups that include a quorum of the public body about matters that may come before the public body. So this might leave you thinking, well, who can you talk to? You can talk to other council members as long as there is less than a quorum and there's no effort to circumvent the law by splintering the quorum. Best practice is be cautious with your emails, text, and social media, because it is very easy for those conversations to reach a quorum and then you accidentally violate the open meeting law. You are not discussing any matters coming before the council when you're just speaking with other council members. You can also speak with staff, including your city attorney, your constituents. You may copy the full council on the responses, but be careful that no one hits reply all and begins a discussion. And you might notice when I, as the clerk or our interim city manager, send out any communications to the council, you won't see who receives that. It's because we put everyone in BCC mode to avoid anyone hitting reply all, and then we violate open meeting law. You can also speak for the media. Public officials may express opinion publicly if it's not principally directed at another member and is not part of the concerted plan to engage in collective deliberation. Any notice of meetings. I, as your clerk, I am responsible of posting all these notices for your meetings. The notice of each meeting to members and the public. This makes it possible for the public to attend the meeting, informs the public of when and where the meeting will be held, and provides the means for the public will get the information regarding the matters before the consideration. The agenda must be posted at least 24 hours before the meeting. In our case, I have until Saturday, 6 p.m. to post the agenda or any changes. We do not count Sunday. You must include the date, time, and place of the meetings, which is your address, your room number, or any other identifying information. Pre-meeting requirements, disclosure statement. It tells the public where all your meetings will be posted, and you post a disclosure statement identifying the physical and electronic locations where the public notices of meetings will be displayed. For us, we do have it on our website where it states where our agendas are posted, which is at City Hall and here at the library. The public bodies must post the required information on their own websites, which we do once the agenda gets posted and it's on the website. For the agenda, what is required is a time, date, and the place of meeting, a list of specific matters to be discussed, considered, or decided at the meeting. The action may only be taken, which is discussed or considered, if it is listed on the agenda. Discussing items that are not listed on the agenda is an open meeting law violation. So, side note, when I say you cannot talk about that, I'm not trying to be rude. We're just trying to avoid any violation on the open meeting law. The agendas must also contain such information as reasonably necessary to inform the public of the matters to be discussed or decided. So the public's rights. The public has the right to attend, to listen, to tape record, or videotape. However, the public has no right to speak, disrupt, and there is actually no call to the public that is required. So with the calls to the public, again, they're not required, but if we do have them, which we do usually have on our council meetings, the only responses that you are allowed to, as an elected official, respond to is any response to to criticism by whoever's giving the public comment. You may ask staff to review the matter or ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. Other than that, you cannot interact with whoever's giving the public comment. We can limit time. Here we keep it at 3 minutes. You may require speakers on the same side with no new comments to select a spokesperson. And we may set ground rules for civility, language, and to treat everyone the same. This duty is imposed on the chair or the mayor, and it's not always easy. So executive session agendas must only include a general description of the matters to be considered. And in all the matters that can go into executive session can be found in Arizona State Statute 38-431.02. The description need to not contain information that would defeat the purpose of the executive session, compromise the legitimate privacy interest of a public officer, appointee, or employee, or compromise the attorney-client privilege. So who may attend executive sessions? The members of the public body. Although the public body may permit the public officer, appointee, or employee who is the subject of discussion to attend the executive session, the open meeting law does not specify whether that person has the right to attend. Individuals whose presence is reasonably necessary in order for the public body to carry out its executive session responsibilities. For example, I go into executive session to take your minutes. And also the attorney to give you legal advice. So some meeting pitfalls here is whispering or texting to your fellow members on the dais, privately using modern technology as cell phones, emails, or iPads while you're up there. A quorum of the members begins talking to individuals before the meeting officially starts or after the meeting officially ends. And that is if you start discussing any business that's listed on the agenda before the meeting, or you start having discussion after the meeting. Indicating how you will vote, including gestures prior to the meeting. Engaging in discussion with speakers during the call to the public, or poor reception if a member is participating in a meeting by telephone or electronic device. Takes us on to Robert's Rules of Order. What and why is the purpose of Robert's Rules of Order? It is a framework for fair, efficient, and orderly meetings, ensures all members are heard respectfully, and it helps the mayor or the chair manage discussion and decisions during meetings. So 6 steps of a motion is motion, I move to, and then you would have a second. The mayor or the chair restates the motion. There will be any debate or comments made. Then the mayor will call for the vote. For all those in favor, any who oppose, and then the mayor or the chair announces the result, which would be this resolution passes or minutes get approved, whichever is the motion. And with that, I wrap up my open meeting law presentation. Any questions?
You said that you can come in by telephone. But now, can they come in by telephone the last minute, or do they have to tell you they're going to be on the telephone prior?
So they do have to allow us to announce it prior. So in the slideshow, it did include that it must be listed on the agenda. So if someone were to call me today and say, I want to be on the agenda, it's too late. I want to be on the agenda as I'm going to be there by telephone, I can't change it. So you wouldn't be able to participate.
And you said you didn't use Sunday.
We do not use Sunday.
That's a rule?
Yeah, so the business days that are counted for that time for the 24-hour prior to the meeting is cutoff time on Saturday. So my time is 6 p.m. on Saturday since our meeting starts on Monday at 6 p.m.
How do emergency agendas apply?
So that's a different process. If we need to call for an emergency meeting, we have mayor that calls for that emergency meeting. And at that time, we do have to at least post it within 24 hours.
No more questions? I guess there's no more questions. Lee.
And Vice Mayor, just real quick, I did want to acknowledge we also have other students from besides 5th and 6th grade. We have some from middle school and high school, correct? And I do have some participation certificates for attending, and I'll get it to the little ones as well because I don't have everyone's names, but we do have some certificates we'll give out for you coming here. Thank you guys for coming.
Okay, we move on to agenda item 13, 1, the Fair Housing Month of April 2026. That's where we're at. That is Jamie.
Yes, good evening again, Vice Mayor and Council. Let me share this with you. We have exciting new changes to our Fair Housing Month process this year. This is a request for the Mayor and City Council to proclaim the month of April as Fair Housing Month in the City of Safford and to encourage all citizens to work for equal housing opportunity in our own community. The goals are quality of life, growth and development, public information and outreach, and background, the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 ensure full and fair access to housing opportunity. This is also tied in with our CDBG funding that we already discussed during our public hearing, We are required to participate in Fair Housing Month activities. The city recognizes that access to housing for all residents is essential to maintaining a sustainable and inclusive community. This year, the Planning and Community Development Department will partner with the Graham County Chamber of Commerce to promote fair housing during the 2026 Spring Fest and through local media outlets. This morning, I did attend the Voice of the Valley with David Bell to get the word out with local realtors, and we have some pre-recorded announcements in English and Spanish that will be playing during the Spring Fest. And I've handed my handouts to the audience. They have handouts that will be available at our City of Safford booth and other local realtors. We're hoping to reach approximately 5,000 individuals, and materials for first-time home buyers will be included. We've had low attendance at our housing fairs previously, so we're trying to take our information to the people instead of having them take time on a Saturday to come to us. Public open houses have historically experienced low attendance. This approach provides residents with a more informal and accessible opportunity to receive the same information. Multi-pronged outreach strategy is essential. While public meetings remain valuable, they do not reach most residents. To address the gap, outreach now incorporates social media, the city's website, email notifications, printed materials, and QR codes are possible to ensure broader community access. And those will be provided at the Spring Fest and on our website after tonight's proclamation. In your packet, you have the proclamation and the standard federal forms that we will be passing out at Springfest. With that, I will stand for questions.
There aren't any questions. This is an action item. Need a motion and a second.
Vice Mayor Lopez, I move that we proclaim the month of April as Fair Housing Month in the city of Safford.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by raising their right hand. Believe that was unanimous. Everybody voted unanimous. Thank you. Let me read this proclamation. The city of Safford comes forward with a proclamation in Graham County, Fair Housing Month. Whereas the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Fair Housing Act, and the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 ensure full and fair access to housing opportunity. And whereas April 2026 marks the 58th anniversary of the signing of the Fair Housing Act. And whereas shelter is a basic human need, and when shelter is denied, the quality of human life is greatly diminished. And whereas people must not be denied equal access to the enjoyment of housing because of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status. And whereas the city of Safford recognizes the value and values the efforts of those who seek to reduce barriers to full and fair housing opportunity. And whereas April is designated nationally as Fair Housing Month. And now, therefore, I, Vice Mayor Lopez, City of Safford, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Fair Housing Month in the City of Safford and encourage all citizens to work for equal housing opportunity in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move to item 14, new business. I believe that's the clerk on the minutes.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. I have prepared the minutes for 3 council meetings, or council meeting and work sessions for March 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th. I stand for any questions.
There are no questions. As action item, we would need a motion and a second.
Vice Mayor Lopez, I move that we approve the minutes for March 16th, March 23rd, and March 30th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the minutes signify by raising their right hand. I believe that was unanimous. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, if we could take a quick break, the students are going to be heading
Right.
out.
Quick break. Oh, yeah. AJ did mention that in a meeting we had a couple of days ago.
Thank you guys for coming.
Vice Mayor, Council B, do you mind if we get a picture real quick with the students? And I think the superintendent's here as well. Maybe he'd like to join.
You want us down there? Gentlemen, ladies. I'm not passing this one up. The purchase of a 2025 International LT. Ooh, that's scary. Mr. Henry.
Vice Mayor and Council, this is a request for Vice Mayor and City Council to approve the purchase of a 2025 International LT 625 6x4 semi-truck from RWC Group using the vehicle replacement funds. Strategic goals of this are financial management and infrastructure development and maintenance. On the background on this, the purchase of the 2025 International semi-truck would replace our current 2000 Kenworth semi-truck that has passed its 20-year useful life. Fleet has evaluated the vehicle and found that the transmission is faulty, the AC no longer works, the engine can no longer keep up with our current hauling needs of the city. The new truck is currently in stock and will only need to be outfitted with Murray ramps to fit our current trailer, which is estimated to take 2 to 3 weeks. The new truck is currently priced at $315,954. The Maricopa County purchasing contract allows the city to purchase the same truck at a price of $171,623.53. The old truck can then be traded in or auctioned once it has been appraised. The city's finance department is looking into finance options, but has vehicle replacements funds in the amount of $171,623.53 in FY 2026. Staff has recommended that the Vice Mayor and City Council approve the purchase of the 2025 International LT 625 6x4 semi-truck. Staff is also recommending the subsequent disposal of the 2000 Kenworth semi-truck when the new vehicle arrives after through trade-in or public auction. I stand for questions.
Are there any questions? I see none. Action item, Mr. Henry. All those in favor? Oh, need a motion.
Vice Mayor
Sorry.
Lopez, I move that we approve the purchase of a 2025 International LT 625 6x4 semi-truck.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. You got them beat? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That looked unanimous, B.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Now we move to item 15-1. Mr. Elkin.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. This is a request for Mayor and City Council to award a construction contract to Trailer Construction LLC from Safford, Arizona for the airport commercial hangar development. The strategic goals for this are growth and development and infrastructure expansion. This project is funded by the general fund with a budget amount of $983,000. The commercial hangar development will consist of constructing a new commercial hangar at the Safford Airport. The commercial hangar is intended to house Petroleum Helicopter Inc. Operations. The commercial hangar development will consist of a 5,184 square foot metal building with an aircraft hangar, livable quarters, and necessary utilities. The project was advertised and bidders solicited in accordance with ARS formal bidding procedures. A notice for invitation to bid was published in the local newspaper. On March 26, 2026, the city clerk received 4 bids that were publicly read with the following results for a base bid and bid alternate 3. Trailer Construction LLC at $773,850. Muir Contracting, $896,870.35. Point Companies, Inc., $879,363.35. And BFL Construction Companies at $1,490,110.65. The commercial hangar development is in the 5-year capital improvement plan as a carryover project from fiscal year 2024 and 25. Just a project recap, our budget for this project is $983,000. Trailer Construction's bid is $773,850. Staff have found that the lowest bid submitted by Trailer Construction LLC is the lowest responsive bidder and is qualified to complete the work as specified for this project. Therefore, staff are recommending the contract award for the design and construction of the commercial hangar development to Trailer Construction LLC in the amount of $773,850 and allow the city manager or his designee to execute contract change orders not to exceed 10% of the construction contract value, if in the best interest of the city to do so. And I will stand for any questions.
Mr. Elkins, I see on here that you have a base bid of $747.50 and then the alternate 3 of $26,000. Can you give us a little more information?
So, yes, Councilwoman Bratner, Vice Mayor. So the base bid is going to get us basically the building, everything inside the building, basically a livable building for PHI. And then the alternates, we put as alternates for everything outside of the building as far as the prep work for the apron, the pavement, the concrete, and then what we are awarding as far as alternate 3 is for the electrical for the helipad, so they can put conduit and then the lights, so and the wiring, obviously. So.
Is this one that had to come back because of changes?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, Council, I'm glad you asked. Yes, we brought this, if you remember, back in October. It got approved. You approved it. It got to our attorney, and it was rejected as an incorrect bid. We tried to go through with preliminary plans and not final plans, in which he rejected it. So we went back to the drawing board, finished the plans, and now we're here.
And you already have an interested business wanting to go in there.
Correct, Vice Mayor. We do have a signed lease with PHI.
Vice Mayor Lopez, I move that we approve commercial hangar construction contract award to Trailer Construction LLC.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Capture that. All those in favor of awarding the bid signify by raising their hand. That looked unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Elkins. We move to item 16, the financial report. Mr. Bingham.
Vice Mayor, Council, this is the P cards. I think I gave the wrong information to B, but it's labeled as November P cards. But if you look at the dates, it's actually December P cards. It goes from November 21st to December 20th. So we are trying to get caught up on these reports. You're going to see these are the next few council meetings to get caught up to the best of our abilities right now. So this is all the way back in December of 2025. Any questions I can answer?
You have any questions?
I would just like to thank staff. The descriptions are a lot better than they were. It left me with no questions because of the effort you guys have put into it. So thank you.
Communicate that.
I too think there's a large improvement on it. I know these go back all the way to December, and there's still some catching up on where to shop, preferentially where to shop. If the item's not available in Safford, yes, let's go somewhere else and get it, especially if we need it. But there's a great deal of improvement. Even getting a light for a turtle, that was great. So,
There's a light for a turtle?
yeah, there was a light for a turtle, yeah, right there. And no, but I do thank you, Mr. Bingham, for a lot of improvement here.
Right, and then it also includes the over $5,000 revenues and over $5,000 expense report.
Are there any questions on those? Any more on the report? If you don't have any questions, Mr. Bingham, I'm looking for to move on, unless you have some more.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Now we will look about, do I need motion to go in executive session, Mr. Himmel? Yes.
Yes, Vice Mayor Lopez, I move that we go into executive session after. Do we want a quick break?
Yes, sir.
After a 5-minute break?
5-minute break. We won't vote on the break. Oh, yeah, we'll vote on it. All those in favor of going into executive session? Unanimous, B, after a break. Keep me in line there, Mr. We return from E-session back into regular session. We are on 17, announcement of current events. Mr. Henry had one.
I just had one quick reminder before I forget. Next weekend, 23rd, well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is our free dump weekend. We bumped that June one we usually have up into April, so get the word out that our next free dump is 23rd, 24th, and 25th. We won't have another one until October, because we're just gonna skip that hot month, or the hot summer month, so that's our clean, free dump weekend.
And we had some current events today. I think it happened in this meeting. I think you picked up on Third Avenue and the walk, what they were talking about at the podium. Okay, thank you, sir. Any other current events? I think spring thing's coming up, whatever it's called. That's
There we go, Vice Mayor Springfest. Vance had mentioned the sponsor dinner is the 23rd. We should see information on that soon. Springfest is the 24th and 25th.
And I don't know if anybody's got back with B about going to the prison camp.
I'll be sending out an email. We have a change in the time. I think she said 10:30 on that same day, but at 10:30 a.m. So I'll send out an email so those that can still attend, I can have record of you guys. I'll forget from here to tomorrow. So I'll put out an email tomorrow, see if everyone's available at 10:30.
And moving to item 18, request for future agenda items. None at this time. We will move to adjournment.
Vice Mayor Lopez, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Hey.